Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And without further ado, I'll just bring on my co-host.
Hey,
Wrong night. What the hell?
I know, right? Is this a Mice and Wolves or is this a JD show? I don't know.
Yeah. No. So please, Rob, introduce yourself.
I mean, you are no stranger to me. I am Rob Multari. I am the creator and writer of Nightwolf and Snowpaw. I am founder of Lone Wolf Comics. So right now, I'm the co-host of JD's show.
All right.
And every other show on every other week.
Right. And we have Ray. I'm just used to DM. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Dungeon Master Ray. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. Creator of the Madcaps. I've got issue 3 coming out in the next little bit. At least the link will be out shortly, but I'm just super happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me, JD.
Listen, brother, anytime. All right. We have Jack Carter. Jack, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Jack Carter, and I'm the creator of Space.
Kraken.
Did I cut out there?
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
Oh, okay. I'm the creator of Space Castle Artemis over on Webtoons. It's a webtoon about magical girls and like a Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry, I'm hearing myself back to me, so it's kind of. But yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons meets magical girls.
All right, cool. We got Bill and his cat.
Yeah, Quinn's currently attacking me. I'm the writer, letterer, occasional inker on Punchline, which comes out from Antarctic Press. When a superhero gets fired, she has to train her replacement, and they don't quite get along. We're crowdfunding issue 17 now, and that wraps up sometime this week.
All right, cool. We got Mr. Paige Alfred. How you doing, Paige? Please introduce yourself.
How you doing? My name's Alfred Paige from Page One Comics. I'm the creator and writer of chess and the chess-related comic books.
All right, cool. All right, gentlemen, I'm pretty sure all of you have taken a look at the show question, and it's a little bit more involved, right, than what I got up there. It says, what do you feel is an over and underused genre in comics, right? Or a genre that's used wrong, or in your opinion, mind you, this is all, this is our opinions of this, like, a genre that's just utilized in a fashion that you might feel is inappropriate, right? So we'll go it like that. Jack, I don't know if you're Jack. Are you back? I know he's working.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in the hot seat, brother. So hold on. Rob looks like he's thinking. Do you got the question?
Maybe. You kind of like are all over the place.
Oh no. It's a big question. Go ahead, Bill. You got something?
So I had Grok do my homework for me and break down the sales by category. And why would I do my own fucking research? I just trust that the computer's making it up instead of me making it up. So, what's not on the list?
What?
Comedy. There was a time when you would get like Bob Hope comics and Jerry Lewis comics. I guess you could fit some of Archie and Betty and Veronica into comedy, but that's nowhere on the list. The list goes like superhero, manga, science fiction, horror, romance, slice of life, and then Western/military. I was like, well, except for, it's just, I find it weird that, in kind of the strange world that we live in now, there's no comedy comics,
Mm.
Those are in the newspapers, right? They call them the funnies.
Sort of.
Yeah. They're not always that funny.
They don't quite make their way to the comic shops, though.
True.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny comics, Betty Boop comics, all those type of things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jack, I'm sorry, but what are your thoughts on the question?
I mean, definitely comedies. You rarely see that anymore, but I rarely ever see like fantasy in like it's definitely not mainstream, but rarely. And I guess it's mostly just indies that do a lot of fantasy, and I would love to see more of that.
Okay, that's fair. Paige, what are your thoughts?
I think action was underused for a couple of years. I see it making a comeback now with all the new titles like Young Blood and the New Darkness, New Witchblade, and all these new titles, 90 titles that's coming back. But for a minute, action is like to the side because everything is like, fantasy or vampire or zombie that took over for the last couple of years.
Right. All right, cool. All right, that's cool. Ray, what are your thoughts?
Something I see done once in a while, but I think there's lots of untapped potential is true stories, historical. Like up here in Canada, there's some real fascinating stories like the one-legged man that attempted to run across Canada, Terry Fox, or Sam Steele that kept law and order in the Yukon during the Gold Rush era. Some really, really cool stuff. And I think that would translate very well into the comic setting.
Okay, that's cool. It's funny. For half a second, I thought you were going to start mentioning like Sasquatch and.
I think that falls under the cryptids.
Maybe history. Fantastical history.
That was true history in Canada. Sasquatch. And
There was sort of a run on that when Revolutionary was making comics that were biography comics of musicians and ball players, but that's that category's kind of disappeared too.
I remember as a kid when I read up on that stuff, I found it bridged the gap for what makes history so interesting. When I was in school, history could be boring, but when I saw it in a comic, I'm like, oh, this is actually a story that actually happened. As silly as it sounded, it made that connection for me.
Yeah.
all right, cool. Rob, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like true genre, like it hasn't really been done because like mostly now it's like a mix of stuff, right? So like everything has like, oh, it's got this, it's got that, it's a mixture of whatever. But like I think a true genre being like, true crime or like, true fantasy or, just stuff like that just hasn't, like everything just kind of gets blended together because everybody's interested in everything anymore.
All right, cool. What's up, Tom? You decided to make it.
Tom Hutchison.
This place is a disaster. I couldn't find my freaking computer. I couldn't find my stupid mouse. I couldn't find anything. I'm working on the new office and everything is exploded. And I'm like, I don't know where anything is. So.
And that's the same because you live alone, right?
Yes. I had nobody to tell me it's over there. Yeah.
Wow.
Not even a cat.
No, nothing.
It's the Bigfoots that came in from Michigan and started moving his stuff around.
I blew up a room. All the furniture is everywhere. Everything's everywhere. So just okay. We're here. It's happening. It's happening.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah. Are we on the first basic question?
Yeah.
Everybody done?
Everybody's done except you, brother.
Yeah. Anybody say they're tired of the NSFW stuff?
No.
Oh, good, because let's go. I don't think so. Let me just start. I was thinking about this question, and I was like, I don't know that there's really anything that is overused per se. Depending on what you have to say with it. Right? Like there's always superhero stuff that has a twist. There's always like a Western that has a twist and this has a twist and so on. There's definitely been a glut of things like zombies over the years and, all that kind of stuff kind of is there for sure. But what I'm seeing now is like every book that comes out, regardless of the genre, right? Whether it's horror or superheroes or whatever, it's all got like, oh no, I'm in the shower and my boyfriend showed up and now we're going to bang because we're superheroes. And now we're going to bang because we're monsters. And now we're going to bang because we're elves. And now we're going to bang because it's just like, Jesus Christ. I don't need the banging, guys. Like there's a place for it. There's a market for it. And I'm not talking about like the sexy covers and stuff. I'm talking about literal, like somebody wrote a story and in their mind, the best way to push this story forward is for them to bang. Like, no. This false. There are ways to sort of imply it, give it to us, and move. Turn the page, right? So it's just no. See, the difference though, Daphne, is you're in that is your genre, so you're in it. But people are taking that and putting it everywhere else. And
Well,
it's like,
superhero doesn't have a full-time job. How are they going to pay for the pizza? Like, that's pretty much a logical story that would come out, right?
Yeah, and nudity comics are kind of taking over, though.
you know, it's just it's not even the nudity. It's beyond the nudity. It's beyond. I've got boobs on my cover. It's
Straight porn.
we're literally banging in our comic book, and it's put in places in the book as far as like the storytelling that it's like this is clearly an important moment, and we got to bang. And I'm like, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm really just tired of seeing it. You know, like there was a like if you've got a reason for it, like there was a comic. I want to say it was Matt Fraction. I might be wrong. I think it was called Sex Criminals, where people would, so they would tell me if I'm wrong. They would bang and like stop time, right, and like rob banks and shit. Isn't that sort of like that's the low level, explanation of it? But like that's taking it and doing something with it rather than, hey, we just got back from beating up robots. Let's bang. Like, I'm so tired of that part of it.
You gotta celebrate.
Do you know what I mean?
You got to send me the list of comics you're reading because I don't know which
I'm not reading any of it. This is the problem. It's like when I go into like groups, like Facebook groups and stuff, and they're like posting like, hey, this is my book and let me show you. It's like too many times it's like, oh, I'm stepping out of the shower and then something. I'm just like, Jesus, I'm out already. I don't care, guys. You understand that porn is free, right? I have no need to pay for any of this stuff. Porn is free. So
there are the viruses that come with it.
I mean,
Turn into the new Penthouse Comics.
So that's that.
I haven't seen any of this. I must be reading the wrong comics or the right comics.
That's
I'm not sure how this works.
You're just not in the not groups.
I guess not. I keep seeing covers like gun hunting books, which are, sexy, not as tacky as you would expect. And then you go down the list of the things that are for sale every week. I'm like, how does anybody fight crime? Because they're always naked. It's got to be awkward. But, there's a certain, part of the market that's getting a lot of catering to, and people are making cash, and it allows them to keep making comics, and God bless them. But I really don't need to see that a lot.
All right. To answer the question, go ahead, Paige. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the money for it is so good, though, that, unfortunately, it's just going to keep growing.
I don't see that as being the case, though. I'm gonna argue with you on that, because while it does make money, you can easily go on Kickstarter right now. There's over 300 freaking campaigns running right now. You can look at a lot of the adult stuff, and a lot of it's not making that much money. It's making something. It's successful. It's funding. It's whatever you want. But it's not like you just come in and go, my werewolves are banging and you make 50 grand. Like that doesn't happen. Like it takes more. Like there's a God, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Anyway, she's got a lesbian story that they're doing with the Wizard of Oz that's doing crazy money.
Cat Calamia.
Yes. So like that's going crazy right now. The stuff that they do is going crazy.
But they've built up their following.
They've built up the following. Sure.
Audience, yeah.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. If you just pop in with, here's my werewolf bang book, you're not making that money until you can, grow your audience like
it's got to be pretty unique nowadays. You need like kaiju porn. The whole process wipes out a city. That kind of stuff.
Nice.
I don't know. There is a kaiju woman book out there that's not doing as well as I think they thought it would.
Oh, I eat my words then, and they were delicious.
And Rob, I don't think Tom is trying to squash your future ambitions, right? I'm just saying.
All good, man. All good.
I know that spinoff is next year, Rob. I know. I'm
and so a little bit of the problem is that a lot of these comic books are just covers. When you get to the interior pages, I don't know. It's nowhere near what the covers will look like. They put all the money into the covers.
Sure. That's 100%. That's 100%.
Yeah. A lot of those books.
See there, post Daphne's comment. That's 100% accurate, right there.
So I sort of work for the local film festival, Austin Film Fest, as a volunteer, and that screenwriting competition got 11,500 scripts in this year.
Mm.
Every single creative endeavor that I can find that doesn't have a gatekeeper has a surplus of people, in a mad dash for cash. So you see tons of people trying to break in screenwriting, tons of people trying to break in comics, doing crowdfunding, and it really makes the oxygen thinner for everybody when that's happening. I just don't see an end to it either. So I think that, sort of this is the new normal. Every month there's 100 new comic book crowdfunders that launch. I just don't know where you find the audience that big.
Well, but that's kind of my point here is if all you have as far as your story goes, again, unless you are deep in the genre stuff, like what Kat's doing, what Daphne does, right? You're in that genre. That's where you're going. That's your audience. If you're just like, I'm going to make a superhero book and they're going to screw, like there's minimal value to that. If someone reads the book and they're like, okay, yeah, they're banging. But if there's nothing else, if the characters don't matter, then it doesn't matter if they're naked. It doesn't matter if they're screwing, because again, all this stuff is free on the internet, and they can move on to a character that somebody else has done that they do like, and will continue reading that story, whether they're banging or not. So this is sort of my point is we got to educate here to be like, this is not the hack that you think it is. And in fact, it might be an opposite effect if you haven't done enough with your book itself and your conceptualization of it, your execution of it, like Paige said, the art and everything. Like you got to really bring the whole package, no pun intended, to be able to then add in the banging and have it have value.
So Tom, you've inspired me. I want to pitch an idea for you. The title is called Your Words, Whether They're Banging or Not. That's the title of the comic. And every other issue has something NSFW on the front, and you don't actually know if they're going to bang or not.
I mean, the sad thing, like Tom said, that you could have a comic book, 32 pages of just characters banging and nothing else to the story, and then put your investment into the cover, like a Jamie Tyndall or something like that, into the cover, and you sell off the covers.
Mm-hmm.
And the comic book itself has no
and that's diminishing returns too, because that's diminishing returns too, because if people don't care about your character, they won't care who's drawing it over time. Again, maybe initially you might get that pop, but over time they'll be like, well, this character's dumb, so I don't care who's drawing it, and I'm going to jump out. So I would hope that there's more again, that we can redirect the creative energy into like the whole process of like, we need character, we need story, we need purpose, and we need art, covers and otherwise.
That's right.
So a lot of those books, go ahead.
I was going to say, and get back to the comic books that's for the for younger teens and kids. All these adult comic books. Take a lot of the market, you get back.
A lot of those books with the fancy covers, you get the feeling that they're never open, that nobody ever tries to read them, which seems like the basis for a great prank.
That was done. In case you haven't noticed, you didn't hear about it. Yeah, back in the '90s, DC Comics did a book called the Knowledge of Lobo or something like that.
The Wisdom of Lobo.
The Wisdom of Lobo, and it was blank pages.
Yeah. Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
And I know for a fact there are people that I know who will not be named, who we've talked about kickstarting and crowdfunding and just kind of comics in general in this sort of sphere that we all live in. And they've told me no one cares about what's on the inside. So we produce the interiors to a point that we're happy with it, but we're not stressed over what's inside because we know 90% of the audience is just buying it for the cover. That's a discussion that's had in our circles. So,
well, that's kind of like the people who are buying, who are putting out those, like the fan imagery of like, doing the cosplay covers, right? Like it's basically like,
that's just straight IP theft.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But my point is that's how a lot of these came about, is that they're putting out they're like, oh, this character is naked or partially naked, but really sexy that I love. Now I'm going to go and like, somebody's going to be like, oh, well, I'll make a whole story around that IP character that the domain's already, available or whatever. So like that's kind
Well,
of
public domain is one thing, but they're doing cosplay
yeah.
covers of just like, well, here's Rogue and she's naked, but it's not
Right,
really
right.
Rogue. It's
I
my
was
character. I'm
specifically
like,
saying more about like the Disney princesses who aren't technically just Disney, but like their stories are
yeah, that's all public domain stuff. Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
we're literally in a point now where we're just ripping off. I'm just putting Catwoman on my cover. Like that's just what's happening. I'm just putting Catwoman on my cover, and
That's
deal
it.
with it. And that's a terrible aspect of things too, especially coming from creators who, if they had their stuff ripped off, would be like, yo, wait a minute, why are you using my stuff? But we have this weird like disconnect that we can just use whatever we want from the big guys, because they're not coming down on it, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem, is that they're not enforcing it. But
Well,
I think if they do, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Like that.
Or
Somebody
lookalike.
tried that with Lady Death, and like Polito did come down on them really
Sure,
hard.
but that's even he's way too small in that context, right? Like Wolverine and Spider-Man and Wonder Woman are still light years ahead of the Lady Death character,
right
within the general public knowledge, is what I'm saying. And so if you were gonna put, if you were doing a cover and you were like, I need to attract the general audience, Lady Death would work because of the skin factor, but Wonder Woman would work because Wonder Woman, 75 years of this character. I'm going to put Wonder Woman on my cover. And if nobody cares and I'm going to make $10,000, why shouldn't I? That's the mindset that a lot of these people have.
I find it hard to believe that DC hasn't unleashed some of those scary bastard lawyers that they have on payroll to just come out and kind of bark at people and make them knock that stuff off.
Well, and everybody kind of assumed that when Disney bought Marvel, that's what was about to happen, because Disney is notorious about all of that bootleg stuff. And I mean, they will come for you. But it just has not happened. And that's
as long as it isn't the mouse, then they don't care.
Yeah. As long as they don't touch Mickey
Not
Mouse,
yet, anyway.
they're not going to do anything.
Not yet.
Except
not
for
yet,
Steamboat
anyway.
Mickey. Steamboat
But see,
Mickey's
that's
open
what I'm saying. If there's no pushback, why am I not putting Rogue on the cover of my book?
Integrity.
Or the likeness of.
Integrity. This is right. You're correct. That's the right answer, Bill. Bill, give me that high five, Bill. That's the correct answer. It's the correct answer. But that's where we have to kind of look around and go, who has it?
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Who's monkeying? Who's in the mud a little too far? And then, if we can tap them on the shoulder and be like, you don't need to do that. Like, do your own thing. Maybe they'll pull back. Maybe they won't. Who knows?
Tom, I'd like to add to your point there. I teach at a college, and one big thing is attendance and students being in class on time. And every year we have, amongst my colleagues, we have the exact same discussion. And it is always that one time you don't do something about it with the student and they're late. If they're 2 minutes late this time, they're 5 minutes late the next time. Well, it was okay this time. I'll do the same thing plus a bit, and they push that line, which is basically just reflecting what you're saying there. It's got to come from the top down. If they're not going to do anything like you're saying, there's no deterrent. So sure, let's, like you said, naked Rogue or naked whoever, naked Godzilla. I was mentioning the kaiju thing earlier. But
how much more naked could Godzilla get?
Well, I just don't want to see that atomic blast, to put it that way. But anyways, that human nature element that only gets deterred by authority following through. So if Marvel and DC are going to continue to allow this, it's just going to continue to happen. That's how it is.
All right, cool. So we can wrap up this question.
I'm so glad I could derail the whole first half hour of the show.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We needed that. But just to wrap it up, I'm actually going to piggyback on what Rob said. Is I think one of the things that I find that's not done well, or not even done to the genre, is just horror, right? Because a lot of people do horror-like books, or they do horror-like things, and mostly what I see is like the Van Helsing thing, where it's monster hunter finding whatever, and they label it as horror. But I rarely ever see like actual horror, like a movie like The Thing, or what we used to get back in the old EC comics, right, where they were actual horror stories. Where and it's just just a picadillo for me.
So most of the horror that comes out, I've been thinking about doing an EC style horror book. But most of the horror that you see on the newsstands are essentially pitches for horror movie genres or franchises. You know, it's not like you've got an 8-page monster story. One's a werewolf, one's a vampire, one's a slime ball. It's more like, oh, there's always been this subculture around of monster hunters, and they've always been into these monsters, which means that they are pretty bad at their job. But you know, it's a, hey, here's some comics, and if they sell well enough, I can get them to an agent who can maybe hook me up with a screenwriter. We can go from there. There's not like that, you know, core EC approach where we're going to fill these 32 pages with a bunch of 8-page stories and the hero dies in the end every single time. You know, I mean, there's not a love of genre. It's a love of the chance to get a movie deal.
The other tough thing with horror translated to comics is there's a lot of things you can rely on in a movie that you can't do in a comic. For example, the cheapest scare you can get in the movie is the classic jump scare. But when you translate that to a comic, it doesn't hit as hard. Like, it's cool, and that panel can really hit, but you have to approach it differently. You have to make the person like feel intensity for the upcoming pages as opposed to getting jolted like you would in a movie.
Well, if you do it right and you set the pacing, and then like you do the page turn, that could be, you know,
yes,
where it comes in. But you have to.
I have never jumped out of my seat turning the page of a comic.
I think it's harder.
You're desensitized to everything, so I can't take you for credit at anything.
I'm sorry, Jack. Were you going to say something? You going to add something?
I was going to say, I think it's harder to do that when like the reader's in control of the pacing.
Yes.
Right.
You can do a little bit of that. You can do a little bit of that with the page turn, and you know that surprise when you flip the page. But you really have to have the design of your book in mind for that. And I agree, the cat catapult when the cat comes flying in through the movie in the horror movie, that gets people every time. But there's no comic book equivalent of that,
unless you make a pop-up book.
True.
Also missing the
now
sound.
they got the comic book hologram books going on. At least out here in Florida, but you know, you got these images. You turn the page, and it's just the image reflecting, dancing in front of you. These hologram type pages things.
Well, they did play around with that augmented reality stuff back in the day. If you guys remember that, I don't know, something like you had to look at it through your phone, and like, you know, there'd be something moving in your phone. But again, you're talking about too much interaction to make it
that's
effective. But it was interesting. I gave him you know, props for the attempt.
The thing with
the idea,
horror, go ahead.
That he was agreeing with Tom.
Oh no, the thing with horror is in a story, when you're telling a story, to actually go up the spine of a reader. A really good example, although it's kind of left field, is the Never-Ending Story, where at the end, the princess is talking to you watching the story. She says, "It's you, give it a name." And, "Oh, it's the reader, it's not me, it's the person reading." And it does a little bit of a flip. That actually holds on to you. That's like one tactic, which I feel translates well to reading a story. But you can't always be like picking at the reader all the time. There's a bunch of older tactics. Like, I think, I forget who said it in the comments, but it's too gore reliant. And it has to go back to the things of a story that can scare you without just a one-hit wonder, for lack of better wording. Yeah, that's the one there.
Yeah, and Lorraine had it right. Junji Ito, who does manga, if you ever read any of his stuff, it's all horror, and it is like freaky and strange and very weird. And he is probably one of the few people today who I can see who creates actual horror. You know, so. But anyway.
Is that the one, the guy who does like the weird spiral eye thing? Yeah. That's creepy as shit.
Yeah. That stuff is really strange and weird. And that's just one. That's perhaps the most famous one he's ever done. But he has a bunch of them.
Right. It's just that's the one that stands out that everybody knows.
Yeah. All right, Rob, you're up. You got a question?
I would have been prepared if I was. All
right, were you prepared, Mister? I couldn't find my computer or my mouse. All right, so if crowdfunding was no longer an option because it's been so overdone and people are tired of going there and doing it, how would you put your book out? Like, so let's just say that like there's no more like people coming to Kickstarter to kickstart your book. What would you do in its place?
All right, cool. All right, this time we'll start with Jack.
Okay. Well, I actually this works perfect for me because I kind of went this route. I tried to put out a physical book and try to go the Kickstarter route. I didn't promote it beforehand. I promoted it once the Kickstarter was out, and that failed miserably. And so I went back to the drawing board, and I was like, how can I just put this out without having to do a Kickstarter, without having to get a lot of money to fund it. And I started looking into like webtoons and a lot of the new kind of web comics where it's like a scrolling thing from top to bottom. And I got kind of into that, and I talked to some friends that were working on something similar, and I went with that way because I think for me that's been the best marketing, because I have no marketing budget. And going webtoons, we've already been featured on the front page, I think like 3 times now. And, with no marketing budget, we've had like over 25,000 readers. And, I'm barely promoting at all. I'm on Reddit promoting, on Instagram. I don't have very many followers, but through the app, I've actually, got a lot of people reading my comic.
Now that's for free, right? They're not paying.
Yeah, it's for free.
So are you the one doing the art? The other problem is then, like, if you aren't and you're the writer, how do you pay for
the art team? And
I
went through Patreon. So
again, crowdfunding, no crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfunding.
That's part of the question. That's part of this Kickstarter, any kind of crowdfunding platform. That's out the window. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Panicking.
Yeah,
Bill, that's also the right answer.
Yeah. Probably, I would probably just try to do it myself. I'm not as good as my current artist, but I would try to do it myself and just try to get better at constantly doing it. If I had no funds, no way to do it crowdfunding wise.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it would be really hard.
Yeah,
All right.
So
cool.
we're all kind of in the same boat. I did a deep dive into Prana and what they do. I put a link in the freelancer chat. It's Adam Freeman's company, and I just watched an interview with a guy who does a lot of promotion for Boom, and they said, yeah, nothing really works in terms of promotion. You've got you can do email lists, you can do reach out to people that will not get back to you. When I say that, I mean like ICV2. Although Milton did get back to me when I had some questions for him. Try to get some PR and Bleeding Cool or On the Beat or something like that. But most of those bigger pages exist to sell their audience what the audience already wants. So they're very receptive to news about Batman and Spider-Man, and they're 15 books a month. But when you come up with some sort of clever independent thing, you send it to them, it's just crickets. So without crowdfunding, a lot of these things just don't get made. In my case, I was fortunate in that when I was a kid, I loved original comic book art, and I bought a bunch of it. So I've been slowly selling off parts of my collection to bankroll some of the stuff that I'm doing in the ramp up to some of the crowdfunding stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, I killed the room.
Like everybody's like,
you didn't kill the room, you provoked thought.
Yeah, having to sell the collection. That's a rough one.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Well,
I was like, am I willing to do that?
It was a choice, and I was sick yesterday. Not yesterday, but last year. I have no concept of time at all. And I realized that, I had a pile of loot around me, and I thought I should do something reasonable with it, so I blew it all making comics.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good choice.
Yeah. It's a choice. I'm not sure good is a good word. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Paige, what are your thoughts?
Now, I was going to say I do conventions a lot out here in the Florida area, and fortunately, you have a a pack of people or a fan base that keeps coming back. But without crowdfunding or Diamond, which is going down, to get your idea across a social media platform outside people that you're not selling to directly, I don't know what the answer with that would be.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
So we all make comics. Does anybody have an online store where they sell merch to people?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a story.
Yeah.
Not as
But even-
well as crowdfunding, but yes, I do sell on my store.
It's a trickle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's trickle, but yeah, you still gotta get people to come to your page to grow that interest to that
True.
character before they even buy the merchandise. So
It's true.
True.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm in a similar process. So I've been selling stuff on eBay, and it's just like, but it's like doubles and triples and stuff I don't want anymore.
It turns out I had a buying problem for a few years too, so it's sort of reconciling that a bit, as the background attests.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I think
mine.
I think we all have that same issue.
Yeah.
Tom, what are your thoughts? Oh, so I'm sorry, Paige, you weren't finished. Go ahead.
I just want to say, eBay works. I have used eBay too, and it works when the comic book is hot, when it first comes out, and it's like a limited cover or NYC cover or something like that. But that dies down real fast. So it'd be good for the first month, and you get somebody that's willing to buy that comic book for $30, $40, and those overturns, but that don't last past 30 days in my experience. That only lasts as the comic book's hot.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've said in the past, I wrote this book called La Blue Girl back in the day, which was a porn book. And I can sell the first 6 issues as a set. I could sell for about $150 and get it, So and I still have like 5 or 6 sets.
Yeah,
so
but the thing that you guys are talking about is just making some sales. You're just making some sales here and there, here and there, here and there. That's fine. We can all do that, right? The reason that crowdfunding works is because it's an event around whatever that product is, whether it's a comic or a movie or music or whatever, and you're driving people to an event. That's why it works, and that's why the people that do it really well are really good at creating events. It's not just here's my comic, come get it. It's here's my comic, here's the event that we're doing giveaways, it's a game show for the people that really are high level for crowdfunding. The answer is if crowdfunding disappears tomorrow, 90% of comic books will disappear. That's just the reality.
That's right.
That's valid.
And partially because of the way that the LCS situation and distribution and all of that. Diamond used to be, I know this will sound crazy, but Diamond used to be the way that indies could be successful. I know that sounds nuts, but they were the place that gave people chances, even though maybe 2/3 of what came through got rejected. That other third got in. I'm one of those thirds. We came into Diamond with nothing, with no people, no names, no nothing. They gave us the opportunity. We took the ball and we ran with it. And we're still here 15 years later, even though I've been out of Diamond now for almost 10 years. We're still rolling. But the only reason I didn't go back to Diamond after Aspen was because of crowdfunding. We decided to take our ball and go that way with crowdfunding. And it's worked for the last, now almost 10 years. So if it were to disappear in all capacities, including things like Patreon and that kind of stuff, people simply would not have the money to do it consistently. Not that they couldn't do it, but maybe instead of 4 issues a year, it's 1, right? And then that comes back to sales and what Paige was saying about they like it when it's hot and, they're aware of it. If you do 1 a year, the consistency is gone. So you might do that 1 in January, and then a year later they won't even be thinking about you. So consistency is as much a key as any part of it. And Kickstarter or crowdfunding in general, allows you to be at least semi-consistent, because you know when you go there, I need $2,000. I can drive people there. There's active audience there as well that's just there for stuff. And I can probably make that $2,000 and then move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. May not be making like profit, but you've made your book, you've put it out. Now you can make a website. Now you can go to cons. Now you can do eBay and, you know, move that back stock while you're now making the next issue. So if crowdfunding disappears, like legitimately disappears, there will be people that'll use the online stuff like webtoons and all that kind of thing, but I can't draw. So there's no chance for me to just be like, well, I'm just going to put all in webtoons and I'll just do it that way, because I'm still have to pay somebody to do it. So while I can pay somebody, it would slow the process down. You know, again, that consistency would slow down.
Yeah.
I believe that first of all, I don't believe crowdfunding is going away at all. All be weird.
I think it's going to increase.
You know, you're going to find somebody.
Is that
to
who's got the feedback?
That ain't me. I can hear it, but I don't know where it's coming from.
Right. I'm like,
I think there's levels that crowdfunding hasn't even touched yet, and within distribution, within and of itself. I think that there's so many so many crowdfunding platforms that all do little bits of different things differently. And eventually a lot of those good things are going to consolidate into, you know, we don't necessarily want Diamond again for crowdfunding, right? But people are going to learn that a lot of these extraneous ones, they don't have the built-in fan base. I mean, Indiegogo is disappearing. I mean, it's I know somebody just bought it, so maybe there'll be some shifting as to what's happening with Indiegogo over there. But there's really nothing that has come through outside of Fund My Comic that I've seen that has had any sort of real success as far as crowdfunding goes. So is crowdfunding going away? I don't think it's even started. Is the reality. I don't think it's even begun. We're at the beginnings of crowdfunding at this point. And those that can hang with it and stay with it and keep moving forward, even just slowly, you're going to be in front of the wave of people trying to catch on. And if you've, like we talked about at the beginning, like if you've built your audience and they know I can get this stuff from Tom, he's going to keep putting this stuff out. It's good stuff, whatever. You'll be able to stay ahead of the wave of insanity that, you know, people are going to try and dump into crowdfunding, because it will happen. But, you know, what does it say? The cream rises to the top. You got to be the cream, and you know, that's how you'll be found.
Well, that was the thing with Diamond for years. We called them a necessary evil, and they were both necessary and evil.
Yes.
You know, my books were not selling well enough in the early 2000s. So they said, yeah, we're just not carrying your stuff anymore. And there was literally no place else to go at the time. I see a lot of people trying a lot of different things. When we got Punchline 16 finished, I was talking with AP and they said, well, Diamond just went away. We don't know what we're doing. I said,
yeah,
okay. And since then they got it together and they went with Massive, and they're in the Lunar catalog, and they're still waiting on their first orders to process through, including one of my books. But you never quite know what's happening until you get a few transactions under your belt with a big company like that. So we'll find out what's going on soon, but somebody needs to build a better portal for small press guys to get to the direct market, because what we've got now is a series of silos. And it's just so expensive to break into a new silo every time you're looking for another book. You know, you can sell some books digitally, you can sell some books through Kickstarter, but until you can get your books into comic shops, or at least get people where they can see the chance to order your stuff for their shop, that's a whole big market segment that's completely cut off.
All right. Cool. Ray, what are your thoughts?
You mean like
unmute my mic. I have to mute my mic because I'm doing a lot of coughing. I'm a bit under the weather, but found the unmute button. So my thoughts in regards to if I didn't have crowdfunding, well, my current tactic, Tom mentioned consistency. I'm kind of the antithesis to that. I do one a year. and that's just it's not my full-time job. For me, the only thing that would change, this story I'm doing, it's only 3 issues. The only thing that would change is I wouldn't have 3 Kickstarters for all 3 issues. I save up the money, pay for my services up front, inking, coloring, etc. I would have the whole thing done up front, and then I would start testing the waters. So this is my first time on the creative side of a comic book, so I would be going to everybody under the sun, asking, do you know anybody that's looking for stories to promote or have under their wing or under their brand? And I would go from there. I think that's the main difference for me.
Nice. Cool. Paige, did you have something you wanted to add?
Now, I'm still new to crowdfunding, so I'm doing one now, but that's because of the diamond situation and the fan base that is still asking for my comic books. So I'm new to it. I'm kind of testing the waters with it for the first time. So I'm not an expert in crowdfunding.
So how do you let your fans know that you have a crowdfunder going? Do you have an email or some contact, some way to reach out and say, hey, you're a big fan, here's a new one?
Yeah, I sent out a notice, continuing the storyline for the people that's been buying my comic books. I haven't been lucky enough to have a straight fan base that's been following my titles. So now that, when they write me, how do we get your new title? Now I'm doing the crowdfunding. So you send that information out, and then outside of that is conventions and things like that, advertisement and conventions. If you're lucky enough to do something before your Kickstarter.
Yeah. To go back in time, I don't know how many people have ever heard of Randy Ronaldo. He does a book called Rob Haynes' Adventure.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for, I think, 27 years, and he releases 1 book a year, and it always comes out at San Diego Comic-Con.
Like a book or like an issue?
An issue.
An issue, okay.
Issue 32, a 32-page black and white comic. And
wow.
He is like a mainstay at San Diego Comic-Con because that's where it comes out every year. And they got a table for him and everything. It's crazy.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And I mean, things like that can happen.
But that's also clearly not his job.
No. And listen, I mean, for many of us, it isn't, right? This is just our passion project.
That's right.
For myself, like Daphne answered, I mean, we probably end up back at shows because in the space between us getting booted out of Diamond as well, Bill, and Kickstarter coming into reality, that's all we did. We did shows, and we did a lot of them. There were months Daphne and I would do, I think we did at our peak, we were doing anywhere from 2 to 4 shows a month, right? And these were all local to us, and we would drive out. We would have friends drive us, all kinds of crazy. So whatever we needed to do to get to the show, we did it. Because we also took buses, trains, whatever we had to do. So we did it.
Is that Jack?
I just muted him.
Somebody's losing connection.
It sounds like a phone too close.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, I don't know, but there it is. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, if I had to go back, I would definitely it would just end up being at conventions. The other thing is I would probably seek out my local retailers and just start pushing through them, So that would be the other.
Yeah, spot. Go back to the footwork of going store to store. So
right.
That too.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the selling part. You still got to make it.
That's true. Mm-hmm. It's very true.
The step one is where's your money coming from to make it?
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, well, day job.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or free.
And that's everybody. I mean, before we were doing crowdfunding, we were just doing it on our own, you know.
Right.
Then we
Yeah.
went over to Aspen and we were reprinting stuff. So we got kind of that, you know, both sort of aspects, like, okay, here's what this looks like. Oh, look, we can even reprint stuff and people will still buy it because it's new to them. That was an interesting experiment.
Mhm.
And then we went to crowdfunding and it got another interesting experiment.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've been fortunate enough that the day job floated me into Kickstarter, right? And then gave me enough, I guess, backstock that I, even to this day, I still have a lot of Kickstarters to run every month. So, and I've gotten to a point where the Kickstarters have just made me enough money where I can just produce more. You know, I can just keep producing more, and that's just at the point that I'm at. So it's a little crazy, but you know, I would like it is fun, but it's crazy. Rob, answer your own question. What do you got?
I mean, I kind of already started it. So after my first Kickstarter back in 2016 failed, I just started doing freelance web design and graphic design work to pay for the art, and then I just started going to cons. Then I did that the same with issue 2. Issue 2 was, you know, same difference, and then finally it was issue 3. I was like, well, I don't want to keep hustling that way. I'd rather focus on the comic. So that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to try giving Kickstarter a try. So if crowdfunding went away, then I would just go back to basically doing, just outside of work, doing more work to pay for it, you know, because that's what I would have to do, you know. I mean, yeah, my consistency, like Tom said, would be lower, but I could still produce, you know, probably 2 to 3 books a year doing that if I have a steady stream of freelance work to pay for it.
Yeah, you have to change up your presentation. Like I do libraries and local shows and flea markets, but then you're just staying in a certain region without crowdfunding and that expansion. If somebody could get your comic book wherever, you know, it's gonna reduce the profit on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, cons are going to be essential no matter what. I mean, not getting you if you go further out, you know, like that's a big thing. No matter what, you know, is spreading it. That's just in general what you have to do to get an audience.
And I think also one of the things we'd all have to focus on is just finding different places to advertise our work, right? Like Webtoon, right? Like here we go. So Jack, tell me about your comic book.
Well, it's a fantasy based off of like magical girls and Dungeons and Dragons and rock and roll, really. Just put it all together. And yeah, this is a mini max. This is a kind of like a in between because
I think Jack is being attacked.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Matrix is trying to kill us.
It almost reminded me of that Beastie Boys song.
I was about to say Beastie Boys. You beat me to it.
There you go.
But yeah, waiting for the main story. I've been doing these issues called Minimax with an artist named Kirby, and it's just really simple stuff. And then the main issue, if you go back to, if you go like to the first one, Burnout, right at the top here, you'll see this is the main artist's work. I mean, Webtoons is pretty cool. It's been the easiest, quickest, and mostly freest way to really promote my comic. You know, I still pay the artist. You know, I paid him out of pocket at first, but now that we're getting more Patreon stuff, I'm able to pay him through that more. But he's a really cool guy, and he's really dedicated to the comic too, which is really nice. He believes in it as much as I do, I would say.
Cool. So you're the writer, but you're also an artist, or you? Just...
I'm the writer. I came up with all the character designs, but I'm definitely not as good as him. This actually was originally I originally pitched it. Well, I was coming up with the comic and I wrote it out, and then I was like, I'm gonna try to pitch this to Frederator, the animation studio, and they actually liked it a lot, and I had an interview. I went in to their studios and pitched to them, and they suggested some small changes, and then come pitch to them again. And then 2020 happened, and they had a full, like, they lost their CEO. They changed the way they did things. They didn't allow pitches anymore. So I didn't hear from them anymore. And I was just like, I want to get this out. You know, I've been working on this story for a while now. And I just wanted to make it. And so, you know, I want to do a physical comic book because that's, you know, that's the way I read comic books. But as I said before, I've messed up the Kickstarter really bad. And that failed. And then I went and I really looked into Webtoon to see, you know, how to get things out. And it seemed like the one that cost the least amount to actually get out. And I talked to my artist, his name's Miguel. He goes by 4ZR4 art on Instagram. And he showed me his stuff, and, you know, we've been just collaborating ever since. He's really great. You know, he's pretty consistent too, which is nice.
All right, cool. So, I mean, is this, obviously you have it set up in this, you know, infinite scroll, but is this something you could reformat into a comic book?
Yeah, I mean, it would take a little bit of retooling, but I think Miguel would be able to figure it out. It's, you know, the way it's really interesting because you have to use the scrolling as its own kind of medium. You know, like you have to set it up. Like there's a lot of if someone's falling like this, you know, it has to kind of feel like there's a flow going downward. You know, like you could tell your story that way and bring up things separately. And I really like that he does that through this. And so, but if we went to physical, it's, you know, it's a different medium, so we would have to figure out how to be able to have that same flow, but, you know, in a regular page panels.
Right. Gosh.
Turn it back to panels. It's sequential.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now, which is totally possible.
How many how many chapters do you have in here currently?
Right now, I forgot it. Right now we have 22, but I think it's 16 of the main story, and then the rest is filled with like little side stories to hopefully, because the whole thing, you know, it drives on engagement, and, you know, the more you put out, the more people are going to see it.
Right.
And getting, you know, his level of detail. He also does his own comic book too. And getting his level of detail, it's going to take a little while. He usually puts one out once a month. And Webtoon, to get, you know, to get people looking at it, it has to be once a week. If not, you know, you could do every 2 weeks, but they want once a week to really drive engagement. So that's why we started doing the little side stories, just to, you know, make sure that name stays in people's feed.
Gotcha. Now, with that expectation of let's say once a week or once a month, if you were to, like, I'm seeing, and I'm scrolling for me, I'm almost at the end of it, but would you, I mean, I don't know. I mean, would it be more prudent to maybe chop something like this in half and put it out twice a month?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm you know, I'm just curious.
Yeah. We've actually been talking about doing something like that. Because it is a lot. It's a long, you know, it's a lot of story right now. It would just be a restructuring, making sure, you know, one thing is that we kind of want to end each chapter on something like a cliffhanger, you know.
Right.
From what I've noticed, that's the best way to get people to keep reading.
Yep.
So we just have to change some things around to where, you know, we have a cliffhanger every end of the chapter. But yeah, it's weird because it doesn't feel that long. Like when I'm writing it out, it's, you know, it's 5 pages you know, written out, you know, with everything. But then when it's drawn out, it becomes 15 pages.
Right.
By the way, you know, everything is structured. And so we have to, and Webtoons only allows like 12 to 13 pages. So we have to cut out some stuff or rearrange some stuff, you know, take out a panel or maybe move something up. So yeah, we've been thinking about cutting it down and cutting it in half, but when it's written out, it doesn't seem like a lot, when it's
Right.
just 5 pages.
Mhm.
But yeah, we've been talking about that lately.
All right, cool. Now, just to let everybody know, what's your Patreon?
Oh yeah, my Patreon is, I'll put it in the thing. It's Space Castle Artemis. I'll be sharing it right now.
Yeah, put it in the private chat, and I'll put it in the regular chat. All right, cool.
Okay.
All right. So this new chapters appear what, on the first of every month, end of every month, middle of the month?
Usually middle of the month. I try to go as much as possible, but I leave it mostly up to him because he's doing a lot of work
Mhm.
and I'm probably not paying him nearly as much as I would say he's worth.
All right, cool. Very nice. I like it, man. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Have you considered like asking other people to let you do a backstory? Add like a sample of your comic book to their comic book.
Oh no,
Like you trying to get it out. Say like use Tom for example. Someone that got a lot more experience and followers. Tom, let me put 8 pages of my comic book into your comic book. You know what I mean? And then a link to where they can find the continuation of that story.
That would be cool. I would be totally for that.
Yeah, that's something a lot of us like. We usually just share like ads in each other's campaigns and stuff. But let me go on because we got to hit punchline. Bill, do you want me to play this video?
No, it's me talking my boring head off for about 5 minutes. Nobody wants to see that. Present company excluded, of course.
Yes.
Punchline's the story of a superhero who's been fired, and she has to train her replacement, and they don't get along. So it's like Lethal Weapon with superpowers. Those are some of the covers from this issue. One of them's by my co-creative partner, Matthew Weldon. The other one is a guy with a name Jonas Bass. He's a Brazilian artist. He penciled the wraparound cover there, and I inked it. And then there's a couple of sample pages from the issue. I like to finish the whole thing before I pitch it, so it happens at a music fest. And that's Jonas Bass pencils and me inking and lettering. Whenever I'm not lettering these comics, I'm lettering other stuff. So I'm spending a stupid amount of time in Illustrator. There's a backup story about a rock monster called Gridlock. And this is my script inks and letters on that too. And it's kind of fun. So this issue has 2 12-page stories. This is a page from the next issue, Punchline 18. That's Stephen Cummings, who's just come up. He had a gap in his schedule. He was doing Star Wars for Marvel for a bunch of years. And he said, hey, we've always been trying to work together, so let's do it. So that's me inking, writing, and lettering for Stephen. In that story, Versima goes to the future and meets herself, and she's a total bitch in the future. And she kind of has this series of Ghost of Christmas future moments, and she's trying to figure out what's up. This is a page from Punchline 19 in black and white here. I'm working with another artist, and I really like the way that this guy pencils, and this is my inks and letters over that again. Whenever I'm creating pages for myself that I know I'm going to ink, I bring the penciled pages in, letter over those, convert the pencils to blue line, print those out on boards. So I draw all the panel borders and all the other boring bullshit in the computer, and then just ink it and scan it like that and tweak it as necessary. Because a lot of people don't make and sell their original art anymore.
Right.
And I'm trying to go the extra mile of selling original art that actually has text on it. So the things for sale there are the different covers, different combinations of covers. And if you go through to the next, if you back something and get to the add-on level, you can add on all kinds of digital merchandise, trade paperbacks, back issues. I had somebody who said, what if I just want the full set of Punchline comics you've made up to now? So I had to go and essentially hunt down 16 different issues out of my mountain of stuff, and I found I was out of some books. So I had Matt give me some books. So we've hit 1,100 so far. I think it wraps on Wednesday. My printing bill is huge on that book, so I'm going to be out of pocket again. But we're trying some new stuff. We're trying a foil variant cover, and we're trying some other stuff. And this book will come out through AP to Massive to Lunar to your store.
Mhm.
So every issue seems like a complicated MF bank shot to get it into people's hands. So I would like to see us find a way to work this out where independent people can maybe find a way to get some oxygen. And I'm working on a project that would have a lot of indie projects under one title. And I've reached out to people, and I've got my first round of people making comic pages, and we'll see if I can pull this off. But, when I looked around this real estate, I realized, there's a whole bunch of people here making comics that have, I don't know, 50 hardcore backers, maybe 200 hardcore backers. It's not really enough to thrive. But if we can all find a way to get something under one big banner, and we can share, everybody's 100 backers, maybe pick up a fraction of that, then maybe there's enough oxygen for everybody.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Very nice. And this Punchline full set, that's all 17 issues.
Yep. Or if you just want to buy the new one in digital, I don't charge a lot for digital comics. So my digital comic is 24 pages for $3.
Gotcha.
And we keep the shipping low, and we just ship to the US because anything else is a crapshoot. But
Right.
we're having pretty good luck with these. We took some time off. I was writing screenplays, and I came back to making comics, and I've been banging away at that. And I've got, 17's about to come out, and I've got scripts for a bunch more and line art for a bunch more that I'm kind of pushing slowly towards the finish line. But, I've sort of committed to doing this as long as I'm able. I've also got some other projects in the works, but I'm kind of 100% behind making comics at this point.
Got you. Now, without getting into particulars,
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, Paige. Ask what you're gonna ask.
Particular away.
No, I was just saying that the pages look good. I wasn't asking the question.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh.
No, the pages look fantastic.
Thanks, dude.
But without getting into particulars, do you find that teaming up with AP, between Kickstarter and AP, you're finding yourself at least somewhat whole?
Somewhat. We took some time off, like I said, and this is Punchline 16, the last issue, has a final order cut off of next week, and we should be getting our orders in pretty soon.
Right.
And I've already printed the books and shipped them off to my backers. So I've got a big pool of books left. I'm like, oh, I didn't think this through. What if the number's bigger than the amount of books that I have? Well, it's going to be allocated, which will piss off retailers.
Right.
So, when you print the books and get them to your backers first, and then you're selling the excess through the direct market, you're never going to guess that number exactly right. The temptation would be to overprint, right? But I didn't do that this time. So we'll see what happens. We're still in the post-Diamond crash where everybody's still trying to figure out what the F happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you have a general, where you were before.
I know where I was before we took a year break.
Right. So
we don't know how many stores are going to stick with us. Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is the odds are, unfortunately, there's not going to be a pop. It's going to be, if you were selling 1,000 units, that's probably your peak anyway. And, if you sell 800, then you sell 800.
Yeah. I talked to the guys at AP, and they said, okay, we will probably buy this many. I said, probably is close enough for me. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it feels like there's a lot of hands in my pocket, to put it mildly. Because if the stores are going to be buying the books at half off, I'm like, okay, Lunar, Massive, AP, me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's left at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So we'll see what's up. I think that the introduction of different variant foil cover stuff would help in the long run. And I was talking with them about finding a way to do blind bags, because that's one of those the live selling on platforms like Whatnot. You have a lot of people trying to find a way to capture the energy of sports card breaking packs within the world of comics, and it seems like making blind bags would be doable. The holdup, from what I can tell, being the printing of the bags. You can do just a solid color bag with a big sticker on it, but that's kind of tacky. And I would like to see if I can do something that looks great. But, if you can find a way to make the blind bag thing work, that gives you the opportunity to do secret variants in the books, to put in a piece of original art or a sketch here and there. Gives you a way to clear out some backstock when you're promising people an issue. If you're guaranteeing 5 units of fun per issue, one of those can be be an issue of backstock. One can be one of somebody else's books that you're sharing for them. There's a way to make money on that. I just need to see if I can figure out the blind bag technology, and see if I can figure out how to make a presentable package on a budget, and if that works,
right,
we'll see if we can't make that happen, because that, between that and the what is it, the Batman Deadpool book, those were the 2 big sales bombs that went off this past month.
Yep.
All right, cool. Listen, man, it's a great looking book, man. I mean, I've been picking up your trades.
Yeah.
So I'm still, I'm just waiting on the next one, but maybe
we'll make that 3rd trade at some point. I've made all the books now. I just need to figure out how to raise enough cash to print them all under one cover.
Yeah. All right, cool. Listen, great looking book. I would tell everybody, get this book.
Thanks, dude.
It's a great book. Thank you, man.
Yeah, definitely looks good. Definitely looks
Thank
good.
you very much. All right. That's all of Matt Weldon's art. That 2 chicks with guitars thing. That's an awesome cover.
Yeah, tell him I'm trying to get a hold of him, please. I have been emailing him and trying to for years. And every now and then we bump into each other, and then it like separates again.
So we both live in Austin.
Uh-huh.
And I had a message I needed to get through to him from AP. And I sent him a note. I didn't hear from him. I drove over to his house, knocked on the door. His wife answers the phone. She answered the door. We talked for a second. And she said, he worked all day yesterday. Let me see if he's wearing pants. I'm like, please do. So he was finishing up a big job for Udon. And, she basically went in and woke him up at, 4 in the afternoon or whatever. The dude works all the time, and he's got 4 kids. And I think in most respects, he just gives 0 Fs about social media. So he is really hard to run down. I will pass it along, but he doesn't get back to me. I'll give it a shot, but no promises.
Gotcha. Well, here we are.
Tell him that Critter is still waiting.
Okay.
He'll know what that means.
Does that mean he owes you a cover?
Wow.
He doesn't owe me a cover, but we talked about doing one many, many moons ago.
Okay.
And he was actually one of the first guys when I started doing this. He actually did some design work and like test stuff to to see if he was going to do the book. And it just didn't, for whatever reason, he just kind of
sometimes things don't happen.
Drifted off into the ether. And then we ran into each other at Planet Comic-Con like 8 years later. And I was like, I know who you are. He was like, no, you don't. I was like, let me show you some stuff. And I showed him the old, because I still have all the old just test pages and stuff. And he was like, God damn. So he did a cool Critter sketch cover for me that I could, take home. But I was always like, let's put you on a cover sometime. And he was like, yeah.
I will reach out to him and see what I can do.
Poof.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually going to be coming down through Texas in October. Tell him I'll take him to dinner. See if I can.
I will pass it along. Yeah.
Tell him pants are optional.
Well, they should be a requirement.
Way to go.
Yeah, depending on where you're at.
Depending where you're at, definitely. So let's hit the footpath. Paige, what are we looking at here?
Okay, this is my new project, Footpath Dangerous Nights. It's an extension, another extension of my chess storyline. I had a lot of success in the last years doing the solo books, like Blowtorch and those stories. And in Blowtorch Bury the Past, I started a storyline, a resurrection program storyline. So that continues into this comic book here, Footpath Dangerous Nights, as she goes down to take a lab in the auction and stop an auction of these experiments. So it's a one shot. It continues the story, but it's a one shot.
Mm-hmm.
And this leads into another project that's coming in 2026 called Hostile Assist, which is a crossover with Footpath and Gun Goth from Mark Partridge's Haunted Pizza.
Well,
And that will wrap up that storyline. So it's like a 3-part storyline. But this one is Footpaths, and we got an incredible team on it. Jonathan Hendrick is my co-writer, and we got Marcelo Salaza and Sade Temefonte on the project. Edson Iles is doing covers. So we got a fantastic team on this. And it came out great. I mean, if you're into an action comic book or a comic book that looks like a movie, it's really fantastic. It's probably one of the most action-inspired comic books I did to date.
Nice. So I mean, when all right, I see you got 143 files, which is good. When do you think you're gonna launch it?
We are launching September 30th.
September 30th. Okay, cool. So you got another 9 days. Nice.
Right on.
All right, cool. Hold
And,
on.
you know, if you
Pull that down. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up the video because you sent me a video, so I'm gonna pull that up.
sure.
Cool. All right.
I was about to say, are we on a loop here, JD?
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
just,
I was gonna say.
yeah.
Hey, I love
scrolled
it.
over to the
I love
screen,
it. Keep showing it. But yeah, so yeah, again, for anybody that's into action comic books and in a female lead, definitely sign on to the pre-launch page. We go live September 30th. And I gotta say, I feel like this is one of my best projects I've done to date. The team I'm working with, Jonathan Hendrick, and the rest of the team I'm working with, it's been a fantastic experience. And yeah, we're looking forward to getting this into people's hands.
All right, cool. All right, now we're gonna hit up this dude. I don't know why I keep bringing him back, but you know, we kind of like him. All right, Tom, what do we got?
This is the Wicked West Omnibus. Next year's the 15th anniversary of this book, and we are just about out of volumes 1 through 4 trade paperbacks. So we basically had a decision: are we going to just reprint the trades, or are we going to do a new product? So I decided to do a new product. So this will be the first 4 volumes of The Legend of Oz, all put together one big book. It's going to be borderline 500 pages. The original miniseries, and then the 3 volumes that followed up as far as the ongoing series. So you have the original story, you have the origin of Jack Pumpkinhead, you have the origin of the Flying Monkeys, General Ginger, Glinda, all kinds of stuff from an Oz standpoint. If you don't know the book, it's basically a Western reimagining of the Wizard of Oz. So instead of ruby slippers, Dorothy's got ruby spurs, ruby bullets, Toto's her horse. So it's very steampunk, as well as, you know, kind of the shoot 'em up Western. Plenty of sample pages here. You can kind of watch the book evolve as Alison Borges continued to do the work all the way through volume 4. We had a couple of fill-in pages by Carlos Reno, who then took over the series later on, but it's mostly all Alison Borges. Yeah, it'll have cover galleries and design pages and just whatever we can do to fill this thing up. We've unlocked 2 stretch goals so far. One is, so it comes in a hardcover and a soft cover. Stretch goals, we have, what do they call it? Spot gloss on the cover. So like the logos and like the little flowers and stuff. Yeah, that'll be a spot gloss on it. And then we've also unlocked what they call a gilt edging on the book. So normally you see it, it's like silver or gold edging around the pages. Our printer told us we could do it in red. So we're going to have a ruby red edge around the pages.
That sounds slick.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to look amazing. This campaign is also what we call the Big Dog Ink Book Fair. So we go into the warehouse and just start pulling out stuff that we've got from everywhere. There's tons of prints that were down to like the last 5 or 10 copies. We have trade paperbacks, catch-up issues if you just want to try out some new series. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you're not into the trade paperbacks, like if you don't need that big hardcover or soft cover, there's single issues and there's some back issues that I threw in there, some variant covers. It's just what we call the book fair. We did it last year for the first time, the Big Dog Ink Book Fair, and it went crazy and it was super fun and people were diving into all kinds of new stuff. So it's like, well, let's do it again. And this year's special product for the book fair is the omnibus. And there's the hardcover. There's a hardcover with a sepia dust jacket. We're only doing 100 of those dust jackets. And then there's just the regular standard trade paperback if you just want to, you know, get a hold of the basic edition. All the prices that you see, as always with us, are include your shipping. So if it says $65, it's just $65. That's it. No extra shipping. We do ship overseas. That stuff's all been figured out. It's going to cost some money, my friends, but our overseas folks know what they're getting into. So, yeah. And new cover by Nia Rufino.
How many pages?
It's going to be roughly 500. We don't know the exact page count yet because we're still building out all of the extras, but it'll be close to the area of, 450 to 500.
Wow.
Very nice. Very nice.
Wow. Big. That's a big boy.
Yes.
Big book.
That's what we call a spider killing book.
We're working up to the Chihuahua Killer.
Yes.
Working up to. Very nice. All right, very nice. So everybody, go check this out.
Yeah, and we're $708 away. Stretch goal number 3. We have our friend Bun Leong. He always does these great chibi magnets of our characters. So there's a Dorothy Gale chibi magnet that will unlock at 17,000. This ends Wednesday night. So this is 3 days. But you have Wednesday night till 11:45 Eastern, and then this shuts down.
All right, very nice.
Okay.
Go check it out, everybody. Tom puts out a great book.
I have the first 4 volumes. So
He just duct taped his together to make his own.
Yeah, I made it a nice looking big book like that. I just don't have all the extra.
Just put a lot of duct tape on it. Great.
Here's mine. I don't have a link up quite yet, but this is going to be the main protagonist cover of an upcoming. Oh, go back.
Sorry.
There you go. That's okay. This was drawn by my interior artist for issue 2, Victor Medina. With a couple of color corrections, I've requested it to be my main cover. I just liked it so much. But the final issue is coming out this spring. In the next 4 weeks, we will have a link that people can follow. Until such a time, you can probably follow the Madcaps Facebook page or just my profile. And I'm really excited. This issue is really coming together nice. shout out to Victor and all the work he's been doing. I'm really happy with how this art is all playing out. It's really, our team is being very, very cohesive. Every issue gets better than the last. This one, in my biased opinion, is fire, and there's nothing else I could say to hype it up. I'm just really looking forward to finally executing this Kickstarter, man. It's going to be good.
So when were you launching?
It's going to be in the spring, most likely April.
Okay. Oh wow.
Okay.
That's a while. All right, cool. Now, so this is the 3 issues, and this will comprise that one story.
Yes.
After this, what do you have planned coming up after that?
Potentially trade paperback.
Mhm.
Anything after that is undecided.
Okay. All right. But I know there's something in the works because, like the rest of us, there's always something in the works.
As far as this lore goes and these characters, I do have other stories. I don't know. So I'm doing this at my leisure, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Mhm.
I want to see what happens when this is finished, and then I want to look at the next story arc. And there's a couple of different ideas, but again, I don't have anything really nailed down as of yet.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, it's looking good. The other 2 issues are good.
Thanks, man.
I enjoyed them very much. So, I'm looking forward to the 3rd one. All right. We've saved Mr. Multari. Do you want me to play this video?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Everybody will have a good laugh at the end of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In 19th century Scotland, a fierce heroine with an adventurous spirit nearly gives in to the social expectations of her time. But a trite fairy tale ending is not meant to be as Cyrilla McKinley discovers her werewolf lineage. Her eyes are open for the first time to the existence of supernatural beings and creatures of fantasy. Hi, I'm Robert A. Multari, the creator and writer of Snowpaw, and the hit series Nightwolf, as well as the founder of Lone Wolf Comics. While writing the Snowpaw series, I wanted to tell a story about a strong female character who my daughter and other girls reading comic books can look up to as a great role model. In April of 2016, I launched a failed Kickstarter campaign for my first series, Nightwolf. I didn't let that failed launch stop me, so I decided to raise the money on my own doing freelance web design jobs to pay for the artists. After self-publishing Nightwolf issues 1 and 2, I came back to Kickstarter in October 2019. Since then, I have successfully overfunded 17 campaigns for Nightwolf issues 3 through 10, both the Nightwolf volumes 1 and 2 trade paperbacks, the first 3 issues of Snowpaw, the Wolfpack Pups Halloween Kids board book, and 3 Wolfpack Pup plush toys. That's all thanks to my amazing backers that I refer to as my Wolfpack. Now I stand ready to publish Snowpaw issue 4. And that's why I've come back to pay for the printing and the rewards that you will receive for backing this project. I'd like to personally thank you in advance for backing Snowpaw and joining the Wolfpack. I'm extremely grateful for where I am now as a self-publisher and continuing to serialize new comic books for you to enjoy. Again, thank you for taking this creative journey with me. I appreciate it so much. Aye, so what are you waiting for? Take this journey back with me to 19th century Scotland and join the Wolfpack today.
That should have been one of the alternative covers.
I want to see all of the takes where you messed up the script and everybody always goes blah 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 after and stuff like that.
I'm always cussing myself.
I'm a rewind you have to do.
You nailed it.
Well, once I have one good take, obviously you could tell my beard is so much darker in that because I did that that was from issue 1 or 2, and I just kept reusing it.
Wow.
I just switch out the parts that when I talk about the current issue.
Nice. So Rob,
Wow.
talk to us. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so this is the end of the first story arc for Snowpaw. So this is basically Snowpaw's origin story. She is Nightwolf's mentor in his story, but this goes into her past and her journey into discovering her werewolf lineage. She's born on a failing farm in Scotland, and her father betroths her to a rich man's son, and during the engagement party, a high-class werewolf that you see there in his human guise senses her presence and follows her back to her family farm and attacks her family and triggers her transformation. we have we get the Pong coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like I said, this is the end of the first story arc. A lot of things happen between traveling from Scotland to England, where she discovers that there's kind of like a hidden fantasy world within London, and then they're kind of defending it from this dark covenant, which is run by this high class werewolf. And it just, like I said, it's a true origin story for this fierce heroine, and a lot of stuff happens, and it opens up to the next story arc that's going to happen afterwards. But this is a great time to jump in if you've never picked up one of my books. It's great. This is the first time that I've actually had a finished story arc, because Nightwolf has a 12-issue run, and issue 11 is my next Kickstarter. So that'll tell you something.
Nice. When do you
Good
expect?
stuff.
When do you expect the next one to come out?
The next issue of Snow?
11.
Oh, Nightwolf 11. Carlos is in the middle of doing that, so if not before the end of the year, shortly after the beginning.
Okay. Cool. Nice. So
That looks great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
mean, now that you're done with the 4th issue, do you have is there more to this story? You looking to do more?
Yeah. Well, I guess I have 200 years between Nightwolf and Snowpaw, so I mean, I have so much time and like so much like story fodder that I can do with Snowpaw traveling, the European continent, and then how she ends up in the States. So I have a lot of room to play with before I actually get there. Plus, there's a lot of things that I kind of put into Nightwolf for her backstory that you don't even see yet. I mean, so we haven't even gotten to those things yet. I mean, there's plenty of things that going from point A to point M, and then before they come together.
Gotcha.
Nice.
All right, cool.
Looks good.
Now I see you got a retailer level. Now, just out of curiosity, you have what?
I have 2 of them. I have one where they can they can get Snowpaw, and then they can get. There's one where they can get all of like Nightwolf and Snowpaw, and put them in their stores.
All right, cool. Now, just out of curiosity, like, do you find that you sell a lot of those to retailers? Or is that
1 or 2. I get 1 or 2, sometimes 3 each campaign.
All right. Well, listen, that's more than most. So that's pretty good.
I mean, I keep them there, because I figured that for me, since I wasn't in Diamond, and I don't have a mass distribution besides me driving
Right.
or shipping them myself. That's this. I feel this is a good way, a good introduction, for retailers to hop in.
All right, cool, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, you have 4 days left. You've already met your goal for 390 backers, which is really cool. Listen, man, great book. I don't even know what else to say. You did it, Rob. You're still doing it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Looks great. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Mr. Ray, do you have a question?
I do.
All right.
If there were absolutely no visuals to your story, what is the one driving crown jewel that you would sell to potential audience?
Okay.
What would your pitch be?
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I think we're up to Paige. So Paige, you're up. What are your thoughts?
My pitch's been the same for years. It's an action adventure comic book. I usually tell them the storyline or where the idea of the story's going. And for people that's into action, this is the book for you. And if you're looking for a book that reads like a movie and has those action scenes that you really miss from the 90s, this is the comic book for you. So that's what we're looking to do and bring that action out.
I think that if you have an internal tension between your lead characters, it makes the book more entertaining and unpredictable. In the Punchline series, you've got a kind of a burned out World War II veteran hero whose first course of action is generally to kill the bad guy, because if you kill him, your problems are over with that dude. and she's passed her torch on to a modern millennial kid who is very much in the spirit of somebody who wants to save everybody. So she says, if you kill the bad guy, they don't get a chance to fix themselves. You've just kind of taken away their last best opportunity. So I think that one of the things that will help drive a narrative like that is some sort of internal philosophical difference between your two lead characters.
All right. Well, that's cool. That's cool. We'll work in reverse. Jack, what are your thoughts?
My pitch stays pretty much the same. It's a bit of a weird pitch, and it's kind of, I took everything I liked and threw it in together. But I think there's also a strong emphasis that I try to do, at least, on character and found family. And I think that's kind of the heart of what I'm making.
All right, cool. Tom, what are your thoughts?
I don't know, Ray. I make 12 different books. Which one do you want to know about?
Surprise me. Do a deep cut.
I'll give you the one because it's the 15-year anniversary of Penny for Your Soul. So the basic pitch is a demon decides she wants to get in on the end of days battle between heaven and hell. So she sets herself up in Las Vegas with a hotel and casino and offers to buy her patron souls for $10,000. Heaven and hell take notice of the missing souls and come looking. That's what kicks the whole thing off. That's the general pitch. But I don't believe that the pitch is static anymore, because I think the pitch has to modify based on whether you have a book in front of you or not. The pitch has to modify to who you're talking to and what you think they want to hear. It's going to depend on age. It's going to depend on experience in comics. If they're well into comics, you might be able to tell them certain things that they'll just understand. If they're brand new, you might have to kind of lead them in to what a comic is a little bit more. So while I think that you want to have your sort of what they call the elevator pitch, which is what I just did, you still want to be able to be fluid in your like, you want to look at them and be like, do they understand anything that I just said? And if they don't, if the answer is no, you need to be like, so it's like, what if Buffy was blended with Point Break, right? And then they get it. You know what I mean? So you got to be fluid and you got to be kind of thinking on your toes about how to do this, depending on, again, age and all that kind of stuff to be able to grab them. I got in an argument with Tom on one of these podcasts because I kept telling them, yes, you want to start with what you are, but if what you tell somebody isn't resonating, you've got to switch. You've got to say, do you like Buffy? Do you like The Walking Dead? Do you like, whatever it is? It's like that blended with a little of this. And the guy in the thing was like, no, you just stay with what you are. You just stay with what you are. I'm like, okay, buddy, you stay with what you are. You be my guest. I clearly don't know anything that I'm talking about.
You need to speak the person's language for sure.
Correct. Yeah. And what you are within your book or yourself might not be the right language. So that's where you've got to switch and be like, do you like Jaws? It's got a shark in it. It could be as simple as that, right? So yeah, have your key phrases, but then be able to watch the response to see where you need to go next.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ray.
Well, I was just going to reflect on that. I have a couple of friends that don't like fantasy at all, and they love sci-fi. One time, I convinced one of them to watch Lord of the Rings with me over a long period of time, all 3 movies. And one thing that really resonated with this individual was the friendship of Samwise. Well, that would be like you're saying there, Tom. That would be, do you have a good friend or someone you're a good friend to? Because there's a real good character in that. That'd be the kind of speaking the person's language that you're talking about.
Yes. Find the nugget. Like you have the overarching, it's about a ring and the thing, but underneath it, it's the friendship. It's the fellowship.
There's lots of different variables, and you got to know the right one to present accordingly.
Yeah.
Trust and loyalty. Yeah. Add all that into it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Rob.
I mean,
I like
I'm,
how Daphne gets it. I like Daphne.
yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. It depends on who you're talking to. Most often when I'm at cons, like I basically I could rattle off, my Nightwolf pitch, and then include Snowpaw in it after. So I guess I'll just do it that way, the way I do it at a con. Yeah, it's a story about a young man who finds out he's born a werewolf, gets thrown into a supernatural war against demons, witches, vampires, other werewolves. It takes place in a modern time. It's a kid who is born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He has a full ride scholarship to football, effort to the college of his choice, and then his shit hits the fan once he's discovered that he is a werewolf, and his small town is invaded by a bunch of monsters. And then and then my other series, Snowpaw. It's a spin-off of Nightwolf. She's his mentor during his story, and her story takes place in the 19th century Scotland, 200 years before. Boom.
Can I edit your pitch?
Sure, you can edit all you want.
Okay, it's just the beginning. We already know it's a story. Cut that part out. Seriously, like it's a story about. We know it's a story. So just cut that part out and go. It's about a werewolf. Blah 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 blah. It's like it's in a similar sort of tone. It's like when people ask, like, "Tell me what you did for your day." Well, I woke up. Well, we know that. You don't have to tell me that you woke up. We all wake up. We all have to wake up to do before we do the other things. So within the concept of structuring it just a little bit tighter, eliminate sort of that sort of.
Take out the obvious statements.
Just throw that part out. We know it's a story because we know what we're talking about here. We're talking about stories. We're talking about books. We're talking about whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's minuscule. It's a very minuscule thing. But as soon as you said it's a story about, and I think you've said it more than once, I was like, I keep hearing him say it's a story, but I already know that it's a story. So if you can edit yourself, just that nugget, I think you'd tighten what you're doing just a little bit more.
Moving forward, any story I hear, I'm going to imagine a person floating in a bed asleep as he's doing it because he didn't wake up first.
He didn't wake up first. Right?
Yeah.
You're describing a dream, Ray.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good advice. Good advice.
It's funny, Ray. I invited you on, and I didn't know you were going to ask the one question I hate to answer.
Because JD hates to market.
Yeah, I hate pitching. And it's funny because for the longest time, with the Oswald Chronicles specifically, right, I hated pitching it, right? I still don't like pitching it, but I figured out, I'm like, why did I had to sit down and say, why do I hate pitching this damn story? And I was like, because the story is really big. It takes place over 44 stories. And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I'm confusing myself, right? So what I started doing is every Kickstarter focuses usually on a 4-issue or 5-issue story. And I just started focusing in on that story. And I would just pitch that story, not his entire life story, right?
Gotcha.
Basically, his life story is, I would always start with the beginning of my first day. It's, he's a mouse born in the middle of Manhattan, and he's the only one who could read or speak or think. And he learns how to read through this young girl who teaches him how to read. He becomes friends with her. She's ill, and then he discovers that there's some goblins trying to do something to her, and he intervenes on that, right? And that's the very beginning, and that's very simple. And if to Tom's point, think of Secret of Nin meets Doctor Strange, because eventually
I was about to literally say that, man. That gave me goosebumps there.
So
I was going to say Secret of Nin meets Doctor Strange.
So
that's wild.
His future self, he becomes a sorcerer. He's destined to become the greatest sorcerer of our age. That's his future. But in the beginning, this is where we start, and that's so on and so forth. But like I said, it always freaked me out because I would always try to like encompass in my pitch all 44 of these stories, and I'm like, how the hell do I do that? And I just started pitching that one section of that story, because they're usually different stories that have sometimes absolutely nothing to do with him. It's just a story of someone he's meeting, and he's telling their story, or he's helping them out in a situation. And then it just made that easier for me. So anyway, oh, here we go. This is my favorite line.
Hey, I'm going to try that at the next convention.
Yeah.
Read my fucking book.
Read the fucking book. That's what I wrote it for. All right.
That's funny. I like that.
That's great.
Read the fucking book?
But you know what? That at cons though, half the people are like, I don't read,
Oh, that's true.
or I don't read
Yeah,
comics.
funny enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
that happens a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
that's
there
why,
for the celebrities.
that's why I started printing books with boobs on them.
statement
I'd be like, I got
still
books with
stands,
boobs. You
Rob.
don't have to read them.
Yeah, well, I usually pitch movies. Like, are you a fan of Tango and Cash? Are you a fan of Rambo? Then this would be a storyline that you would be interested in. So I always go to the movies first because, I'm a big fan of movies. That's what helps me write the comic books. So I try to get that association right away.
True. It helps for some people. Some people don't like it and some people do like it. But Tom, do you have a question?
No, I'm at the bottom of this whole fucking pile. I don't have a question for you.
I was just asking, brother, because I kind of,
He's like, I'm atlasing this.
Put me at the
motherfucker.
bottom, and you want a question? Jeez. God.
Listen, you're at the bottom because you came late, sir. Late.
Where's my computer? That's my question.
Well, dude, that's
There it is. Found it.
Right here.
There it
yeah,
is.
there it is. Yep.
Boom.
Yep. So whatever you did with it, that's where it's at. All right. So I do have a question, and I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to ask because I always write down more than I need. All right. Here we go. We'll do this one. Do you see a shift in pledging on Kickstarter? I.e., more digital, more add-ons, less add-ons, late pledges? Do you see those being a factor? Do you see them even being effective at this point? Right? Have any of you even used it? Right? So do you see any of these factors factoring into your overall game as far as selling on Kickstarter? And we will start with Mr. Hutchison at the bottom.
Selling is down on Kickstarter across the board. I mean, you can see it everywhere. Everybody's just selling less right now. That's not because of Kickstarter. That's just, the economy. Things are bizarre. Everything's crazy. Everything's just sort of lower.
It's the current
right now.
trend.
Yeah. And it'll all swing back again for the people that stay consistent and stay ahead of the wave. It'll all the pendulum will swing back. Add-ons are key to this, particularly for new people that are coming in. If they're like, oh, I want that new book, but do you have the previous issues or trade paperbacks? Do you have a catalog where it can be like, well, I don't necessarily want that one, but I like that one and that one and that one, and they can add those on. So add-ons are immense, and particularly for like an ongoing series. I haven't used the late pledges thing. I haven't really heard anything from anyone telling me it's of any particular use or non-use. So I have nothing that I could really speak to that other than I think that doing it defeats the purpose of the event. Like we talked about, like if the event is, we're here for 3 weeks and then we're out. Oh, but then you can still add on and do stuff for 3 or 4 weeks later. Then that event, it's not the event anymore. So I think that there's a balance that has to be found there for, we're doing this thing and it's all crazy and we need you here now. But you can also get it in, for the next 6 weeks. Like, I don't know where that balance is yet.
Right.
That's fair. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Tom. The add-ons actually are usually when I'm going for like a comic book Kickstarter, I want to catch up on everything before I get whatever the latest one is. So I usually add, everything back up.
All right, cool. Bill, what's your experience?
I'm not a big fan of the late pledges. I want to wrap this up and get on to the next thing. I don't want to see how long I can make this take. And I try to see how much stuff I can jam into it. And I was really excited to find that you can import add-ons from previous campaigns. So like I had original art on the one that's currently running. I sold original art on there. I'm selling all kinds of digital stuff. I had people complain about things, so I just went in and added new things for them to buy. So no, I'm a big fan of the add-ons because you get everything in one place and wrapped up and fulfillable. You don't have to keep going back to the well and fixing things. But the late pledges, that I got 3 or 4 of these things in the pipeline. I don't need to see how long I can make each individual campaign take.
All right, cool. Paige, what are your thoughts?
Well, through this crowdfunding I'm doing now with Footpath, a lot of the requests I get is the issues that started the story, like chess, Lojo's Bury the Past, and if those things are going to be in the Kickstarter as reward or an add-on, and they are. You get a big catalog from you get the whole chess catalog in the Kickstarter, and you get the Jonathan Hendrick catalog in the Kickstarter. So you get a lot of titles you can either add on or spread out to of what your interest is. So yeah, we definitely got those things in there.
All right, cool. Ray, what are you thinking?
Well, I've always had this really devilish idea, and feel free to take it if you'd like, but let's say I had the Mad Caps issue 103 out, and then the campaign finishes, and as soon as it's done, throwing in all the updates, issue 104 is available for the next week, and then I'm closing that too. And just everybody, what? Get the add-on, and jumping in, but not even advertise 104 or anything like that. Just as soon as 103's campaign is done, keeping it open with that brand new add-on kind of thing. I think it's kind of like an interesting thought. But aside from that, we like Tom said, that balance when you're beating a dead horse, like move on to the next one kind of thing.
Move on to the next dead horse.
Yeah,
It sounds like you have a line of them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a dead horse to beat.
Right.
We went from glue stick and moved on to hoof stew.
That's Canada for you.
Yep.
Lines of
No, we do that with the moose. Or sorry, plural, meese. Yes.
And what do you call a bunch of them? Is it a meeses?
Meese, a flock of meese.
A flock of meese. Okay,
Yes.
got you.
Yeah,
They're not
check.
flock of meeses.
That checks.
No, let's not get silly here, JD. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course not. Rob, what are your thoughts?
So, I've seen a lot of shift to the digital. I think that has to do with as Tom said, the economy situation. People still want the book, so they switch to, from physical to digital. I've seen that trend shift. Or I've also seen people who usually go for like a higher end variant shift to like the standard retail variant. I also will refuse to use the late pledges because that's BS. And I also use backer kit afterwards for like my fulfillment. So that just adds a whole nother, couple weeks to the whole situation. When I'm ready to go, once I get that money in from Kickstarter, I'm ready to, put this fulfillment out so I can get this crap out the door. You know what I mean?
Right.
For me, it's like, I'm not gonna just keep letting that thing just drag on when I'm ready to go on to the next one.
All right, cool. For myself, the one thing I've seen PDF sales increase, right? So I've seen people go from physical media more into PDFs. I have seen, but in that case, I've also seen people willing to spend a little bit more for PDFs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have on the Oswald, I have like an ultimate PDF level that's like $50, but it does have like 1,600 pages worth of comics in it. It has a bunch of comics in it. So, and I sell 4 or 5 of them per campaign. The funniest thing I find is that once I sell that level to these people, they become then on the next campaign they're a $5 or an $8 pledger because they can get the regular level. But it has
Because they already bought everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Yeah, they have everything. Yeah.
Right. It's just like if you encounter someone who buys, all your physical books, right? You have like that one giant level that's $300 or whatever it is, and then the next 8 or 9 campaigns are $30 in, or $20 or whatever it is. But it is, it is what it is. They spent their nut on you, and you're good.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
one of the interesting things
No,
I
no.
saw. I don't have a ton of digital surge. I just haven't seen it at all. But
mm,
we did do something that had been talked about for many years on different podcasts, and I decided to go ahead and do it. So we do a PDF of the regular issue, but we do what's called the deluxe digital edition, where
Mhm.
it's the book, but you also get the digital of all the covers that
Yeah.
we do. We stick that in the PDF as well.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we have sold those at a much
Right.
higher price point than your regular PDF.
Yeah.
So there are ways to play with the digital space like that.
Mhm. Yeah. What's funny is who's the first person I heard? Max DeVille. He's the
Yeah.
first person I ever even heard mention it. He said his kid mentioned it to him. He says the actual. Everybody I was on a podcast. It was Larry's one of Larry's podcasts, and he had mentioned to me. He was like, or he had just mentioned in general. His kid had told him people actually collect the covers in PDF format, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
just
which
like,
didn't make sense to any of us.
right. But I say, you know what? I'm going to try it anyway, and it worked, and
Mhm.
it works, and it's
Yeah.
still working, and it's that does work. So yeah,
And to clarify, it's just a PDF of only the covers.
No,
No,
you
no,
get the
and
whole
the book-
book too.
It's the book plus
It's the book
every
plus
cover.
all the
all of
covers,
the
yeah.
covers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which most often we just do the cover for the book with the book, but they want the variants too.
Interesting.
yeah, because I mean, on
They're literally
You can't-
paying extra to have the digital
variant,
picture
yeah.
of the thing in the PDF form. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
mean, the campaigns I run on, like Dreamweavers and Magi's Grace, I have, the book. I have regular covers where they're with their clothes on. Then I have the naughty covers, and I sell those at separate levels, and I sell them combined, and people buy the hell out of those things, and I'm like, cool,
So
right?
for Nightwolf, what I've been doing since I had the volumes, all the volumes have like the collected cover arts in it. But I did the regular plus then I have like the the not safe variant covers in a totally separate. So I'm selling those at a higher price range just to like, hey, if you want those, you're gonna pay more.
Exactly.
Premium rate.
Mhm. All right, gentlemen, we made it to hour 2. This was fun. Thank you so much for showing up. And let's start with Tom. Tom, where can we find you and your work, sir?
BigDogInc.com. That'll get you the books that you want to find. We have back issues there, stuff that isn't on this book fair deal. So check out Big Dog Inc. I'm basically do everything on Facebook for the most part, but I'm on Instagram and Twitter and the TikTok and all that kind of stuff too. So wherever you do your social media, you can find us. And we do a Patreon as well. We got almost 50 people on there now. So it's just patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. Go join the group.
All right, cool. Jack, where can we find you and your work?
I am on Webtoons, as Space Castle Artemis. I'm on Instagram. Also, that's probably my main place that I'll be at. Also, Space Castle Artemis on Threads as Space Castle Artemis, and Patreon also as Space Castle Artemis.
All right, cool. Bill, where can we find you and your work, sir?
I spend far too much time on Twitter. Bill_Williams. I've been on there long enough to be able to use my real name for good or ill. I post a lot of links on there and a lot of reposting of terrible jokes. So, yeah, check it out.
Very nice. Paige, where can I find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, you can find Page One Comics through the Association of Comic Bird Comics on all formats, through the store, the back issues. Everything is available on Comic Bird Comics. And you can find me on Facebook underneath Project Chess.
All right, cool. Mr. Ray, where can I find you and your work, sir?
You could find me on Facebook as DM Ray. You could also find my Madcaps Facebook page. There will be a link up for the 3rd and final issue of the Madcaps. Not too far from now. Last thing I will say is the spooky month is coming up, and you just all saw the protagonist cover. I do have in the work an antagonist cover. Big reveal of the problem behind this undead outbreak and potentially the distribution of this fictional drug going around, drawn by Harvey Salteras. So I'm very excited to finally show that off.
All right. Cool. Rob, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, you can find me at lonewolfcomics.com. We have that's where you can read about all the titles and upcoming things, as well as get the back issues on my web store there. At Lone Wolf Comics on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much any social media platform that's out there, but I'm only really active on those three. You can find me personally at Rob Multari on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well.
All right, cool. And I'm JD Calderon. You can find me here most Sunday nights. And Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places. And please, everybody, I would ask everyone, check out the show notes, because the show notes have links to all of these creators' campaigns, all of these creators' sites. Click on those links, buy those books. All of these creators, they're passionate creators. All of them are creating great books. So please support these creators. And really, really support them, please, because every one of them needs your help. So just remember, everyone, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.